an evil corporation, nostalgia goggles, and pay-to-win mechanics. We're not talking about Battlefront 2. This is Ready Player One. Ready Player One is the 2018 sci-fi action-adventure nerd porn directed by the film deity that is Steven Spielberg. It's based off the book of the same name by Ernest Cline, Ready Player One. Ernest Cline himself actually adapted the book into the screenplay with Zach Penn. Zach Penn you'll recognize from his amazing but short-lived superhero show Alphas, which was on Sci-Fi. He's also written some of the new X-Men films, and he wrote Last Action Hero. Ernest Cline is the divisive author of Ready Player One, Armada, and The Importance of Being Earnest. The crew behind the camera is stacked with Academy Award winners put together by Steven Spielberg himself, and most of them actually worked on nearly every good Steven Spielberg movie that you can think of. Steven Spielberg, I shouldn't have to really tell you who that is or what he has done, but let me give you a taste of greatness. This is the mastermind behind amazing films like The BFG, Lost World, and Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Yeah. The movie stars Ty Sheridan, who plays Ted Mosby. Okay, not Ted Mosby, Wade Watts, or his avatar known as Parzival. You'll recognize Ty Sheridan from the newest X-Men movies, also from one of my favorite independent films, Mud, where he really showed that he is a talent to look out for, and that's finally coming to fruition with a lot of these bigger movies. The big bad name Sorrento was played by Ben Mendelsohn, an amazing character actor, and now lead actor, thankfully, in a lot of movies. You'll recognize him as Krennic from Star Wars Rogue One, but I like to think of him as Danny Rayburn from Bloodline, which was a really good Netflix series. Check out season 1, which he stars in, and it really shows how talented this guy is. The rest of the cast is pretty great. There is a lot of people who've done really good movies and shows, way too many to name because this video can only be so long. So the year is 2045 and the world has gone to hell. Global warming, government corruption, and greedy corporations have taken over. It's basically like America right now, but with better technology. With the world being in such a sad state, the public is eager to escape the reality and go into the Oasis, which is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game created by James Halliday. Not only is it an immersive MMORPG, but it is a virtual reality experience which lets you be whoever and whatever you want to be. Unfortunately, James Halliday dies, and when he does, he leaves behind a video will for millions and millions of players to see that explains that he has left an Easter egg hidden in the gaming world. Whoever finds it will win control of the Oasis and all of the fortune that he has amassed through his years of gaming design, which is something like $500 billion. So of course, after he makes this announcement, the public scrambles to find this Easter egg so they can get all that money. After 5 years of searching, the general public has given up, and only a devoted few called the Egg Hunters, or Gunters for short. Yes, they call themselves the Gunters because 2 syllables is always way cooler than 3. Gunters really want to find this Easter egg first because they want to make sure that it doesn't fall into the hands of the evil corporation Innovative Online Industries, or IOI as they're known. IOI wants to take control of the Oasis because they want to monetize it. They want to charge a monthly fee. They want to put a bunch of microtransactions in the game. Right now, the Oasis is free to play, so it's basically like Fortnite without all of the little kids talking about your mother or calling you the N-word. To picture how IOI works, think about like WB Games, Activision, Ubisoft, and Blizzard all joining forces to become this big company that only cares about making money, and they put all the players' needs and wants to the side. Oh wait, they've already done that. So you've got the Gunters on one side, led by Wade Watts, and you've got the Sixers led by Sorrento, and they're both trying to find this Easter egg to take control of the gaming world. Whew. That is a lot to talk about and a lot to take in for the summary of a film, but believe it or not, that's the shortest I can make it, so let's get to the good. I actually read the book before I saw the film because I kind of wanted to have an idea of what I was walking into, and I also wanted to see what the differences between the book and the movie were. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to put a bunch of comparisons in this review. I will do a couple, but only to make certain points. Seeing the book come to life on the big screen was pretty great. I wanted to see what the stacks would look like, what the Sixers, the Oasis, the avatars, the vehicles, and all this stuff was going to look like. And much to my surprise, most of what I pictured actually was not nearly as cool as what it looked like on the screen. Being a kid who grew up in the 80s and the early 90s, I was pretty stoked for this movie because it's packed with references to that time period, be it books, movies, anime, comics, mangas. And that's why when the movie opened up with Van Halen, I was so excited. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be the best movie ever. And there are a lot of those Easter eggs in this movie. You've got New Order, you've got Van Halen, you've got Buckaroo Banzai, Madballs, The Pulse Rifles from Aliens, one of the best movies ever made, by the way. There are so many Easter eggs. In fact, there is no way that you can catch them on the first viewing, probably not even the second, third, fourth, or fifth, because last I checked, there are over 300 Easter eggs in this film, and some of them are really subtle, some of them in your face. During the race, Ryu is walking to his car, and I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that's Ryu, and he's about to race. Just the vehicles alone in the race, you've got Bigfoot, you've got the DeLorean, you've got Kaneda's bike from Akira, you've got the A-Team van, you've got Christine, you've got the Batmobile. There were a lot of amazing vehicles in this race, and man, did that race look awesome. The CGI in this movie is peerless. This is some of the best CGI you're ever going to see, and it didn't even feel like a CGI show like most movies do these days. Now, the motion capture and the facial capture was just fantastic. So when you're watching these avatars in the Oasis, you never feel like creeped out like by the uncanny valley or anything of that nature there, because you see enough of the actors' performances in them that you feel like you're watching those people. Now, visually, like I said, this movie is fantastic, whether it be the real world stuff or the Oasis. The cinematography and the editing and the sound design and the music, all of it is top notch. They put their heart into it. And that is why I regret not seeing this movie in the theaters. But the reason I didn't see it in the theaters is because our new releases over here in Qatar only last a couple weeks. Or maybe like me, you're usually really broke, so you can't afford a lot of new releases. So I saw Ready Player One on my 55-inch TV with headphones late at night, and it blew my mind. So I can't even imagine how amazing it would have been to see it on that big screen. In the book, all of the Gunters kind of keep their notes in notebooks and on hard drives and stuff like that. Seeing that on screen probably would have been kind of boring. It basically would have looked like a kid doing homework. But what they did in the movie was they built this giant archival building where they can go and see all these references, read the materials, and it's a lot more visually stimulating than it would have been to see somebody like looking through their notebook. And that goes for a lot of the changes from the book to the movie. They were for the better. They helped give the movie a more streamlined feel. They didn't take such a deep dive into geek culture, which, you know, Hollywood needs to make money, lots and lots of money, so they're going to make these movies as accessible as possible. This movie did that quite well. Another one of the changes that was really good in the book, the first challenge is like basically a dungeon crawl until you get to the boss, whom you have to play in a game of joust at an arcade cabinet. That was fun to read in the book. Would it have translated as well as the race to the big screen? Of course not. The second challenge in the movie takes place actually in a classic film. I'm not going to spoil it, but man, it was so cool to see footage from the original movie mixed with the animation from the new one, and very seamlessly. And that kind of leads me to my next point, which is these action sequences. That big race, that second challenge, and the final fight are all just they're pure nerd boner fuel. There's so much stuff there. Seeing video game culture represented in this movie was really cool. I also like the little touches, like actually seeing characters from the games. One of the things that I think the movie captured really well was the bond or the camaraderie of the Gunters. They really want to make this thing happen. They really want to find that Easter egg before the Sixers do, and that comes across really well. A lot of people complained about the intro. They felt like it was too long of an exposition dump. So I think it worked pretty good, because not only was the narration all right, but it had a lot of stuff going on behind it on the screen that kept it interesting. Putting all that good aside, let's talk about the bad. The ending is pure Spielberg cheese. 15 minutes of happy-go-lucky, eat your popcorn, turn your brain off, just enjoy the movie and shut up cinema. It avoids any kind of conflict, and I think that's kind of systemic of the entire movie itself, which I'll go more into. One of the things that annoyed me the most was a small thing that happened in the movie, but it really stuck out in my head, maybe because I am a geek and a nerd and all that kind of stuff. One of the characters is going through another person's files on their computer, and they stumble across the fact that this person likes to read Nancy Drew books, and they laugh and kind of make a joke out of it. And that really agitated me, because for a long time we got made fun of. How can a grown-up like cartoons? How can a grown-up like reading comics? Even teenagers get that kind of shit still, you know? For the fact that this person in the movie is making fun of this other character's preferences in reading material, it didn't jive with me. If you're a geek, you should understand that other people geek out about different things. Even if you were going through his files and you find out that he's a brony, so what? Mind your own business, shut the hell up. There wasn't a ton of product placement in the movie, but when it was like pff, right in your face. Pizza Hut, Doritos, all up in your grill. Now, sometimes the changes from the book to the movie weren't for the better. There's a point at the end of the book where all of these core Gunters, the high five, the first 5 people to find the clues and stuff, come together. There's like a nice emotional bond. Here in the movie, that happened in the middle. And even when that does, they don't go in depth to the characters' backgrounds or what they're about or why they're doing what they're doing. It's very surface level. Only one time one of the characters talks about their past and why they're doing this thing, why they want to win the Easter egg, etc. What's funny is that character is not even the main character. It's not Wade Watts, aka Parzival. It's already hard to connect with Wade because he doesn't really have a lot of personality. He's kind of like the Ted Mosby, like I said, of this movie. Most of the people around him are more interesting. There's a lot more depth to these characters in the books, and you get a lot more emotion, a lot more conflict, and a lot more connection between them. A lot of the references or the clues or the challenges in the movie are very, very easy to figure out. And I'm sitting there watching this film and I'm thinking, wait, it took these experts 5 years to figure that out? A decent gamer or someone who reads a lot would have figured that out really, really quick. This movie really caters to the dumbest viewers in the audience. People who just want to go and definitely turn their brain off and not think about anything. Ben Mendelsohn really had fun playing Sorrento, and you can tell that. But I gotta say, in the book, he was definitely a lot more gangster. He was darker, he had more teeth to his character, and he was more of a menace, where in the movie, he's a little bit of a joke. Now, one of the things I think they should have definitely went more in depth in, because they briefly touched on it, is the grind that new players to the Oasis have to go through. Anyone who's played a free-to-play game knows that you have to grind your butt off to be able to upgrade your vehicles and your avatar clothing. And in the movie, they basically, oh, you need money to buy gas. That's not the case. I mean, you wouldn't be able to just go and join the game and jump into that race and win at like a level 1 player. In this game, in the Oasis, permadeath is the thing. So if you die in the game, your character goes all the way back to level 0, and all the equipment, all the money, all the possibly years of time that you've put into your character is gone. But I think they would have lost a lot of the normies who were watching the movie because they could care less about the grind of a game. So I can kind of see why they glazed over that briefly and didn't really go too in depth for it, but I still would have liked to have seen it. Now, in the end of the movie, one of the things that Wade says really has an impact on the entire Oasis and the game world. I understand what they were trying to do, what they were trying to say, but this change that Wade decides to make affects millions and millions of people, and he's basing it off the fact that his life is going pretty good, but maybe there are people who don't have a lot of friends, who don't have a girl, or maybe they have a job in the Oasis and they have to be able to access that and do things. Well, because of this decision that he made, they can't do that. And I think that's really dumb, and I think it made Wade more of a dick than he already was. It's just an easy breezy, straight shot from point A to point B. Let's feel good and have a good time, and yay, at the end, hearts for everybody. So all in all, this movie is a big audio video spectacle that'll blow your mind. You'll definitely want to see it again. Those big action sequences, they stick out in your mind, but pretty much nothing else does. 6 out of 10.